Good morning. My name is Barbara London, and on behalf of the museum, I want to welcome you heartily to the MoMA Gramercy Theater. This is the Department of Film and Media's home away from home during the expansion of our building at 11 West 53rd Street. We have just a year and a half left to go, so maybe with the 12th Digital Salon, we'll all be on 53rd Street. The museum is delighted to be hosting this two-day symposium on the occasion of the 10th anniversary of the Digital Salon. I remember 10 years ago wandering over to the lobby of SVA just up the block and seeing state-of-the-art work. And tonight you're all invited to the exhibition down there at the World Financial Center. But over the next 2 days, today and tomorrow, here, very, very knowledgeable speakers are assembling. And we, the museum, feel that the more dialogue we generate about media art today, the better we will be able to move forward as a field, as the practitioners working together to ensure a strong future for the next generation of artists and audiences. So I'm very, very delighted now to be turning the floor over to Bruce Wands, who has been a pleasure to work with as we have shaped and as I've seen the conference and show come together. Bruce is interdisciplinarian, like the field is very interdisciplinarian. He's artist, writer, musician, and he is director of the Digital Salon as well as chair of the MFA Computer Art Program at SVA. Looks like we just lost our mic. So I'm going to turn the program over to Bruce, and I hope you stay for the 2 days of our conference.
Okay, thank you very much. Again, let me just repeat the thank yous quickly here, but Renee Schacht, who's the assistant director, Kate Creedon, who's our coordinator, who really put a lot of energy into pulling this together, my staff from the MFA Computer Art Department at SVA, Mike Barron, Jet Charnchuchai, Jared Lauder, the grad students that are assisting us, and Bonnie Hammer. And again, I'd like to thank MoMA, Barbara London and Larry Kardish for really helping to pull this together, Charlie and the technical staff. Also the curators and the artists that have contributed to Leonardo and really helped us make such a big statement this year about digital art. I'd also like to thank our sponsors, the School of Visual Arts in particular, Silas Rhodes, the chairman of the board, and David Rhodes, who's our president. Joan Shigagawa from the Rockefeller Foundation, who I met early on and understood what I was trying to do and has been very generous with support from their foundation. Wendy Clark from the National Endowment of the Arts, Karen Helmerson from the New York State Council of the Arts, and Embassy Suites for putting our guests up, the Canadian Consulate, the Goethe Institute, and the Cultural Services of the French Embassy for assisting with bringing our speakers here. And in terms of the exhibition and events, I'd like to thank the crew at the World Financial Center Arts and Events Program. How are we doing here? There we go, thanks. Again, I'm sorry. Deborah, Simon, Karen Kitchen, and Miguel Lopez, Elizabeth Hoover. Also, our sponsors for the exhibition events, Pace University, the Lower Manhattan Cultural Council, the Gertrude Stein Repertory Theater, and Roland Corporation. And again, I'd like to, again, extend an invitation to everyone to our opening reception tonight at 6 o'clock in the Winter Garden. So we are here 10 years. It's been a very long journey. It's been a very wonderful journey for everyone involved. And these are some of the goals and outcomes that we had hoped to achieve with our 10th anniversary celebration. First of all, to celebrate through exhibitions, events, and performances, innovation in art, and the emergence of digital art as an important part of contemporary art history. We want to heighten public awareness and appreciation of digital art. We feel that right now, because of how digital art is moving very widely into galleries and museums, that it's important for the public to understand how to relate and to interact with this new art form. And what we're doing today is providing a forum for the critical discussion of art and technology. And the process, it was about a 2-year process of putting this whole package together. We had a call for entries and a juried show for the first 9 years. And to celebrate our 10th anniversary, we decided to do a curated exhibition with an international focus to have this symposium. And the challenges of putting together this program were compounded by 9/11 here in New York. That we started this project about 2 years ago, and about a year and a half ago, we really started to look for funding. And unfortunately, the economic situation in the United States was difficult, and we are very fortunate to have NYSCA, NEA, and Rockefeller, as well as SVA and our other supporters, help us. The next step was publishing Leonardo, which you all have. And again, we're very pleased with the statement that we made there. Leonardo was generous enough to allow us to put that content on our website as well. The exhibition you will see this evening, and we are hoping to bring the exhibition to Spain, Korea, and throughout the United States and here in New York State. The new media curators that we chose are listed here: Joel Chadaby, Steve Dietz, Yuko Hasegawa, John Ippolito, Lev Manovich, Gregor Muir, Christiane Paul, Benjamin Weil, and the ZKM Center for Art and Media in Karlsruhe. Now, what we wanted to do here was to make a statement about digital art. And we thought that a plural view would really represent the field very well, that if we had a single curator, it would, again, represent a single viewpoint. So the goal in Leonardo and on the website is really to establish a definition of digital art on an international level from people from major institutions. And again, I thank all of these people very much for participating. So this is where we are. We have succeeded with our survey. Again, Leonardo, the website, so on and so forth. And I want to start now by talking a little bit about where we came from, how this originated, and how it began. The New York Digital Salon represents about 9 years of international digital art. Traditionally, we have about 80 artists in the show from 15 to 20 countries. We normally got 1,000 submissions from artists around the world each year. We've had exhibitions in the United States, in Spain, Italy, Portugal, the Canary Islands. And I'd like to also thank Blanca Mora Sanchez, who is here. She is our European representative and one of the major forces between bringing the Salon to Europe. And what we had designed, more or less, was that we had the exhibition, which previously consisted of prints, installations, CD-ROMs, net art, screenings, music and audio performances. My approach to digital art is to have a comprehensive viewpoint. That some people really feel that digital art is maybe strictly net art or strictly installation work or something that is that way. My view really is that the computer and technology are tools that artists are beginning to use in a very large way. So I feel that all media really should be represented through the Salon. We are spending a lot of time with our website. That's one of our real goals for the future. And again, Leonardo has been very supportive. We've done 8 issues of Leonardo to date. And again, we do a lot of public programming here in New York and abroad. So the website functions as a kind of an online companion to the exhibition. The site that is up there now is more or less an online exhibition of the show that we're having downtown. When that exhibition ends at the end of May, we will go back to our other site, which has previous exhibitions and a larger archive of digital art. We're also focusing on doing webcasts. We're videotaping and recording this conference, and we will be putting that up on our website. Again, we link to other digital art sites. I think it's important as a group, that we do pull together and support this art form. And again, we really want to have an online educational resource and archive. So if we look back 10 years ago, and the New York Digital Salon started as a project of New York City ACM SIGGRAPH. Tim Binkley, who was then the chair of New York SIGGRAPH, came up with an idea that the National SIGGRAPH Conference did not have a print art show that year. And so we decided in New York to run a print art show at the New York Art Directors Club, kind of as a salon de refuses, and to really make a statement that digital art is not only multimedia. So this is a cover of the first catalog And what we started with is we actually curated this exhibition using 3D Studio and creating a virtual gallery. We took the New York Art Directors Club, we made a 3D model of it, we texture mapped the artworks onto planes, and we began to look at this from that point of view. And what's interesting is that we are almost returning to that, and I'll let you know a little bit about that shortly. And again, it was a very roots level situation. We loaded all the prints in the back of my van. It was an entirely volunteer effort, and we got a great response, to such an extent that we decided to have a second one. And again, my apologies for the poor graphic there, but there are only a few remaining catalogs left. But in 1994, it remained a New York SIGGRAPH project. We moved it into the Visual Arts Museum at SVA. And again, primarily prints, but again, it started to expand. There was a 3D image, there was some digital video, interactive media. And our third exhibition, we started publishing an issue of Leonardo. And essays and critical essays in particular became an important component of the exhibition. That there are a lot of books that are starting to come out on digital art, but 8 years ago there was not a lot of literature, and we feel it's important to have that. So we did our first Leonardo issue. Then we moved to the fourth in '96, and the exhibition started to kind of move into its own, started to develop its own format. And in 1997 was our 5th anniversary. It was also the 50th anniversary of the School of Visual Arts, and it was Leonardo's 30th anniversary. And this was when Blanca Mora came to New York, saw the exhibition, and decided to bring it to the Círculo de Bellas Artes in Madrid. And the response in Europe has been huge. Actually, at the Círculo de Bellas Artes, when we did the digital salon, there were so many people wanting to get in that they actually opened up the venue early in the morning for school tours. There were 800 people waiting in line to get into the opening. So there's a lot of curiosity there. '98 was a year of change for everyone. Tim Binkley resigned his position at SVA to start his own company. I re-inherited the digital salon. I was the curator for the first 3 and a juror for the 4th. So now it became my project again. And part of what I wanted to do was to increase the focus on the web. Because by '98, the web had expanded considerably since 1993. Also to begin developing some streaming media. I wanted to develop a stronger international focus. I went to the show in Milan, and I realized the importance of bringing this internationally. Again, traditionally Europe has venues like Ars Electronica and ZKM, but again, to bring kind of a New York approach to digital art to Europe also has its own benefits. So the exhibition then traveled to Madrid, Milan, Barcelona, Alicante, other locations. And in 1999, again, as I had kind of taken the reins of the show, I started now to build a concept of what I wanted the show to be about. So that we started pretty much getting into a format where the venues in Europe, wanted the show every year. So we would have about 40 to 50 prints. We'd have about 8 to 10 installations, about 5 to 10 CD-ROMs or disc-based work. Again, the essays in Leonardo were very critical in terms of developing a body of literature about digital art. And again, we went back to Spain, to Madrid, Valladolid, and Malaga. I was fortunate enough to be invited overseas to present the digital salon in either lecture form or screenings in Japan, at the EVA conference in Florence, in China, and also in the UK. Again, the interest in digital art in China is huge. I did a lecture at a university in Guangzhou, and there were literally, I would say, 500 people there. It was spilling out into the hallway, just a tremendous amount of curiosity. The 8th Digital Salon moved forward, pretty much the same format. Again, we continued to travel the exhibition, developing regular venues in Europe. And then the 9th Digital Salon came, and again, we really are looking more towards developing the website. We are now in the process of turning the Digital Salon into its own independent nonprofit organization. The School of Visual Arts has been a primary sponsor. New York SIGGRAPH was the initial fiscal sponsor, SVA has been very, very generous. One of the strong points of SVA is really their support of art, in all its forms, and they have really been very, very supportive of me and the Salon. And the vision is also, we normally had one exhibition in New York a year, but we're now expanding to move to year-round programming. We also had a selected works exhibition at the Corning Gallery in New York, where we had kind of a retrospective exhibition in 2001. And my book, Digital Creativity, was published in 2001, so that was kind of a very busy year for all involved. And so now here we are. Now, I'd like to talk a little bit about the future and where we're going and what our goals are. And we are going to focus on this exhibition for the next 2 years. We feel we've made a very important statement. It has a lot of international implications. So we would like to kind of focus on this. We hope to be in Spain. I was invited to Korea at the end of May, and they wanted an exhibition at the end of May, but I think that would have been a little too much work for all involved because it's been a large project. So we will hopefully be bringing the exhibition to Korea, and we do want to get more exposure within the U.S., particularly, that NEA has given us such generous support, and we also do want to bring this show around to New York. So again, we will continue with lectures, panel discussions, performances, and events. We're expanding, again, the website. We are doing an event on May 16th on Internet 2 with the Marcel Project, and that will, give me just one second. And we're cooperating with the University of Maine, with Joe Napolito up there, and also with Ryerson University, the Wimbledon School of Art. And so this is one of the areas that we're moving to. And it's interesting that the first digital salon was curated using a 3D software and created a virtual gallery. And my goal is really to put that online, to move forward with increasing bandwidth, and to look backward at the huge archive we developed over the last 10 years, and to really build the foundation of what digital art is. So that's one of our big focuses, and hopefully to have a true virtual gallery coming up. We're transitioning from Leonardo to book and catalog publications. The 10th Digital Salon will be the last annual issue of Leonardo. We're hoping to do a 15th anniversary issue as well as a 20th. But Leonardo, does not publish that many issues per year, and I think it's time that they also provided exposure for other digital art organizations. So, it's been a great relationship, and it will continue to be so. We want to publish the proceedings of this symposium. I'm in the process of writing a book for Thames and Hudson on digital art, which will be published in 2004. And where we want to go with this is to focus on the art of the future. Some of the projects we're looking towards are visual music, algorithmic art, the mathematics of spirituality, that the origins of digital art, and if you look way back, for instance, at Tibetan Buddhist art, the underpinnings of that artwork are mathematical. So there is a continuum here that I think now we can focus on. I think the infatuation with technology and the new tools is dissipating, and I think interest in content is growing. I really feel that we're at a special moment in contemporary art history. I think it's evidenced by museums and galleries embracing new forms of art. Again, in its early days, digital art had difficulties with archival issues, had difficulty in terms of categorization, had difficulty with how the public audience responded to it, and I think a lot of this is changing very quickly. So that making art with computers and technology will not be viewed as unusual in the future. It's also my view that the pendulum that is globalization of culture will swing back, that the internet has had a very leveling effect in terms of bringing artists worldwide together in a common medium. But I also think that the preservation of culture and the statement of individual cultures will reemerge, that English will not be the primary language, and that we will see a lot of development there. I also feel that digital art will start to become absorbed into contemporary art, that the word digital will start to become less and less used. So examples are digital audio. We don't really call CDs digital audio anymore. We just simply call them music or audio. I remember 1976 when the digital first came in with a digital watch. And so I think that has changed. We will see new technology and interfaces being discovered. It's kind of amazing that the keyboard that we all use every day was designed 135 years ago, and the reason being that the keys didn't stick together as they were hitting the paper. But I don't think that's an issue now, so I think we will see new interfaces being developed, particularly if you look at the game culture that is coming up now, and that younger people are certainly using a wider variety of interfaces. I want to make two major points before I end. I think, first of all, that it is our responsibility to preserve the present and to help build the foundation for the art of the future. That there have been tremendous archival issues with digital art. Huge amounts of it have been lost and have not been migrated through the different, the rapid advances that we've had. And I think technology, to some extent, we're seeing a leveling out of that. So I think it's important that we do create a history, and I really feel that that's what we're doing here today, tomorrow, and with our exhibition. I think it's important to remember that the artists of the future will never have known a world without computers. And I am hoping that creativity will flow freely through digital tools in the future. I know a lot of us here have struggled with creating art with these technologies, and it's my hope that we'll move forward with that. So now it is my sincere pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Roger Molina. He's an astronomer and a space scientist. Since 1982, he's been the executive editor of Leonardo, and he's chairman of the board of the International Society for the Arts, Sciences, and Technology. And I'd like to relate a personal story, because now I have the opportunity to thank him in public. But when I was a graduate student at Syracuse University in 1976, I kept a journal. And when I was writing my book, I was looking through my journals, and I saw a list of current projects. And on that list was to research Leonardo. And there was a book called Kinetic Art, Theory and Practice that was edited by Frank Molina, Roger's father, in 1974. And when I went to graduate school, I went as a musician. I'd been traveling around on the road, and I really wanted to kind of make it, and I felt the graduate school would be a good place for me to do that. And when I got to graduate school, I discovered that music was not the only venue for me in terms of being creative. And Leonardo was a major force in that. And 25 years later, here I am, and I'm an editor of one of the issues. So I'd like to publicly thank Roger and his father for the inspiration that it provided to me. And I certainly hope that one day down the road, some graduate student somewhere will open up this issue of Leonardo, and it will have as large an impact on him as it did on me. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Roger Molina.